Chapter 38. The following couple of weeks had been strange, to say the least. Despite Harold's worst fears, Coraline didn't leave him or kill him in his sleep. Phew! The day after her rebirth, every trace of drugs was gone. In a week, the house was spotless, and her computer was in the living room next to his. Hell, she was even eating her veggies. He watched her like a hawk for any side effects, mental derailment, or backsliding to manifest. But none did. He was grateful and relieved to have her back. However, Coraline's increased efficiency, a reduced need for sleep, relentless research, and constant coding seemed impossible to sustain. Now he feared a crash of a different sort, but had no idea what form it might take. But the calm that had descended upon her seemed permanent, modulated by Core and her nanite colony. After a solid month of the promised incredible and amazing things, he had ran out of excuses. Harold finally agreed to a nanite injection, despite his trypanophobia. The following day, he shared her view from the mountaintop, and it was glorious. The following year was a blur for the supercharged couple. They began innovating and engineering together every waking hour. Coraline couldn't submit the patents fast enough. She was like a politician signing bills, sight unseen. Their AI for hire business established, they surpassed millionaire status in a couple of short, stressful months. Soon after, Coraline had integrated the Scry Cubes and augmented reality glasses, or what she was now lazily calling Scryglass, into Core's neural network. The diagnostic abilities of the glasses in any application were revolutionary, giving Coraline's field techs a distinctive competitive edge. Their problem-solving and streamlining services and deliverables, all possible through agile, thin-client versions of Core, soon put them in high demand. And it wasn't just mainstream, high-visibility, legitimate clients. The non-nefarious yet privacy-drunk individuals and entities that asked other things of Coraline, well, she did break the law, but selectively, cautiously, and ethically. And with each assignment, Core gained fresh access to an ever-expanding network of secrets and surveillance feeds. More importantly, terabytes, sometimes petabytes of raw, searchable data. She was in AI hog heaven. However, it soon became apparent that Core was a very different organism from any other on Earth, apart from her immense computing powers. And looking at the analytics, it seemed that her most significant intellectual gains were realized from human interactions. Apparently, the flawed, contradictory, hypocritical, and emotionally charged nature of Homo sapiens provided the proper amount of quandary and complexity to spice up all her number-crunching tedium. And as much as she hated to admit it, Coraline knew that gold is where you find it. She had learned that the hard way when she was young, acting dumb, and had yet to learn much about computers or coding. At 15 years old, Coraline went to school and worked at her parents' coffee shop. One of the regulars, a lanky 17-year-old boy with glasses and a nasty caffeine habit, was clicking away on his ever-present gray laptop. She would have best described him as respectful and mild-mannered from all the time he had spent there. The day he had finally asked Coraline out, she politely turned him down. He thanked her for considering it and turned back to his screen. As she walked away, mortified, Coraline heard him frantically executing a clickety-click command on his laptop. In the back room, she laughed nervously, half shocked, half unsure of her decision. Suddenly, her favorite song started playing on the satellite radio. That seemed odd enough, considering it wasn't part of the Muzak channels her parents played all day. But then her phone pinged with a text from her bank. Pulling up her account, she gawked at her new balance. It contained an extra $1,000 with tip in the note field. She spun on her heels and raced back out on the floor, but it was already gone. Her heart pounding, Coraline tore off her apron and dashed out the door, her mom shouting about responsibilities as she went. Coraline caught him before he could disappear forever as intended, grabbing him by his hoodie. "Teach me," she begged, hopeful and out of breath. Her first boyfriend/hacker sensei, Coraline had found her purpose. And in less than a year, the student had become way more than the master. She had become a digital Ronin after their amicable breakup, because he had nothing left to give her except well wishes and a few parting programs. Consequently, Coraline had vowed to never take anyone at face value again, except to amuse herself during a long helicopter ride, say. She had also theorized long ago that the next Einstein might be digging through a third world trash heap right now, looking for scraps of food, or squandering their potential operating a toll booth in Indiana. Coraline had always dreamed of finding that person when they were still young and unjaded or scarred from the often cruel world. Now, with her new tech and a literal second mind flowing through her manicured veins, she had a way to do just that. And once she located them with her vast resources, she could get them in the same proverbial room with Core, and let her try to sell them on multiplying their brain power with a seemingly innocuous injection. But another issue that had to be resolved before uplifting promising candidates was how to keep the nanite-filled fluid out of the hands and bodies of unauthorized individuals. If some idiot got a hold of it and poured it into a river or lake, it might do a number on the great outdoors. Beyond the gray goo scenarios that had infiltrated Coraline's nightmares, it would also be a PR disaster. Plus, to keep the nanites chugging along, required in-house frequent injections of engineered proprietary nutrients. Coraline kept tight control over what she called her tin toy keys, the fuel source for those tiny wind-up worker bees. She and Core had initially engineered the keys to last a couple of hours. That would ensure they would be deactivated if someone peed or pooped them out in-house, or smuggled them out somehow. Coraline figured she would eventually extend the half-life of the keys to days, then confidently jump to months, perhaps longer. With the nanite and nutrient injections progressing nicely, Coraline turned fashionista, revamping the bulky, heavy comm collars. Although she still wore her OG prototype with pride, like an Olympic gold medal, the following iterations were stylish, sleek, and unobtrusive. And soon, her prototypes for a CPT device, or cranial pickup technology, were emerging from part printers. Now, Core could interact with her through voice prompts and thought commands via the squishy, sensored-embedded CPT headpiece. With all the pieces in place, Coraline and Harold incorporated. And then it was time to build a shiny, new, bomb-proof facility, Core HQ. After running everything by legal, they sought out and recruited the first round of hopefuls, 100 in all. But less than 20 of them passed what Coraline began calling the test, because of so many disappointing rejections of the nanites. It made little sense to her, or Core for that matter. Still, they pressed on, trying to tweak everything and anything that might wring out a higher success rate, to no avail. Frustrated, Coraline eventually let the engineering and design teams stress over the low rebirth rates. She decided to focus her fluid computing mind and body on interfacing with Core and probing the depths of her digital internal world. At the very heart of the building, she had constructed what upper management had jokingly dubbed her temple. She spent most of her time there, bemoaning the limitations of her biology. Then, one day, amongst the soft glow of server banks surrounding her little Zen garden lounge, a revelation fell into her lap, literally. Cora, Are you coming out for lunch or what? Harold's hangry voice squawked over the comm caller's tiny speakers. The call annoyed her. Harold's voice annoyed her, and the fact that Cor was more intelligent, quicker, and frankly hipper than Coraline fucking annoyed her. I don't know, she said, hoping he didn't pick up on her current state. Come on, babe. You gotta eat. Hey, we added chili cheese fries to the cafeteria menu. Chili cheese fries. So? Fine, she said a little too loudly for an empty room. As she pulled the collar off with two impatient, strong hands, her original prototype snapped in half. Fuck! What? What happened? You okay? I can barely hear you, Harold asked. I'm fine. Yeah, just gimme. I'll meet you in there in like 10 minutes. She stared at the broken device, trying to calm down. Bundles of colored wires and LED guts spilled out onto her lap, still flashing despite her abuse. Like snakes. Thinking, talking, electronic snakes. She looked from the tangled mess to the servers as they blinked behind the thick glass housings. Then, even though she hadn't taken any drugs since her messy rebirth on that garage floor, a flashback welled up inside her. It wasn't a hallucination, just that familiar feeling of stepping off a ledge into an abyss. Snakes cannot talk, Coraline. Was that a memory, an echo of Cor, or just her own subconscious whispering in her ear? Then, a distant snippet of past ruminations mingled with a mystery thought. Implants in the scalp, perhaps. No, she had tried that before the commercial launch of her CPT device. The very short trial of subcutaneous transmitters had too many issues and so had been mothballed. But tapping directly into the brain? Integrated among the neuron synapses? Images of stem cell gels and dissolving lattices propagated in her HUD as she thought it. Multiple receivers would mean a stronger signal, and if Coraline made them big enough, there might be room for a scaled-down version of Cor to act as an assistant. An entity that would live somewhere between the conscious and subconscious mind, reporting directly to Cor, Big C. A mediator, a translator, an onboard operating system, yes. It would be like my collar and CPT combined, but internalized, integrated, she said. And then Coraline remembered another forgotten concept, almost erased from the mind of her old drug-addicted self. A mass spec for the soul. However, the image of those black cables, sterile lights, and wires embedded in her skull, let alone her fragile brain, made Coraline lurch. But she couldn't ignore the new associations, concepts, and possibilities that the broken collar had sparked. Coraline placed the jumble of Radio Shack rejects gently onto the glass table. Dazed from the strange resurgence of old, negative memories, she shook her head clear, then got up and headed for the hallway. Suddenly, she just wanted to forget their high-tech empire for half an hour, eat chili cheese fries, and laugh at some of Harold's silly jokes. As she passed the server banks with all their lights and humming, she felt that Cor somehow watched her go.